This coverage is sponsored by Richer Sounds Manchester. Call 0333 900 0086 for the best prices and expert advice for TVs, AV, and hi-fi. Hello everyone, my name is Vincent Teo, and I'm a YouTuber who knows how to calibrate a display or two. In this video, we're going to review the Epson LS500 Ultra Short Throw Laser Projector, which commands a street price of around £2,600. Not as cheap as the glut of Chinese UHD projectors, but at least you'll get a confidence-inspiring warranty of 5 years or 12,000 hours, whichever comes sooner. Like many similar projectors, the Epson LS500 is pitched as a living room replacement for a large screen television, so we've been sent a unit that's finished in white. Model number EH-LS500W, but it's also available in black for those of you who are going to put the machine in a light-treated home cinema room. The design is fairly eye-catching, with a raised hood housing the circular lens. Most of the connections are found on the rear of the projector, including two HDMI 2.0B ports, of which HDMI 2 supports audio return channel. The front cover is detachable, revealing some physical buttons, a powered USB port, and a third HDMI input, as well as a pair of 10-watt speakers which deliver decent dialogue clarity, but won't rock your world. The supplied remote control is cute and functional with as few buttons as it can get away with, and somewhat unfortunately is not backlit. There is no smart TV interface on board, but the front USB and HDMI ports are purposely recessed so owners can plug in a Google Chromecast, Roku or Amazon Fire Stick permanently for their streaming needs. Let's go through some key specifications of the LS500. The laser light source provides a bright and stable lumens output that doesn't degrade as quickly as lamp-based projectors over time, and the machine can be powered up and shut down almost as quickly as a television. Unlike most of the UHD laser projectors on the market, the LS500 uses Epson's 3LCD technology instead of DLP, so you won't see any rainbow effect. The 3LCD panels are 1080p, but the projector can accept and display 4K video signal using pixel shifting to approximate 4K resolution. Epson called this technology 4K Pro-UHD, essentially their version of JVC's eShift. Installation proved to be slightly trickier than expected. Like every UHD projector we've reviewed so far, there's no lens shift or lens zoom functionality, so you'll have to physically move the projector forwards or backwards to achieve the screen size you want, then use the adjustable leg screws to obtain good geometry without having to resort to digital keystone adjustment, since it can degrade the picture resolution. Please be aware that even though the Epson LS500 is marketed as an ultra short throw projector, the throw ratio is such that to project a 100-inch image, the furthermost edge, that means the side with the detachable cover, has to be 30 inches away from the screen, so you would probably need an AV cabinet that runs deeper than normal, or put up with a sizable gap from the wall. Because we were using a motorized roll-down projector screen from Vividstorm, and our setup was only temporary, we're even using the projector box as its stand. It wasn't an issue for us, but it may be for some of you, in which case you should consider ceiling mounting the LS500. Focus adjustment is done using a lever behind the detachable cover, and focus uniformity on our review sample was actually better than most DLP-based UHD projectors we've tested so far. Epson specs the projector's lumens output at 4000 to 1, and our measurement wasn't too far off after calibration, coming in at 3600 to 1, making the LS500 the brightest projector to have graced our test room. Like many UHD projectors, the Epson LS500 didn't pass video level blacker than black data, nor did it display whiter than white even with contrast value lowered significantly. There is no super white setting that we've seen on previous Epson projectors. The native color gamut of the projector features an oversaturated blue primary because of the blue light of the laser diodes, and a green primary that's shifted towards yellow to give the subjective illusion of higher brightness. Multi-point white balance controls and a color management system are available in the user menu, allowing us to at least rein in the sub 100% color points to make general colors, including skin tones, look more natural and realistic in real-world content. Slow panning shots in 24 frames per second movies were presented smoothly without any sign of telephotic judder, which is such a welcome relief since none of the Chinese UHD projectors we've tested to date could do so. The LS500 is equipped with motion interpolation technology, which would be unavailable if 4K enhancement was engaged with a 50Hz or 60Hz video signal. Otherwise, engaging frame interpolation would boost motion resolution from the sample and hold baseline of 300 lines to 600 lines on the normal or high settings, with low providing little to no improvement in terms of motion clarity. However, we would generally refrain from using frame interpolation for two reasons. 1. Even the least aggressive low setting would introduce noticeable soap opera effect and the odd frame skipping or shimmering in 24 frames per second content. And 2. For 1080p 50Hz or 60Hz video signal, we saw frequent interpolation artifacts and frame drops, counteracting any improvement in motion resolution. We normally don't test standard definition handling on projectors, but since the LS500 is meant to be a TV replacement, we ran this SMPTE RP133 test card in 576 resolution and was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the upscaling, which retrieved clean, sharp detail with minimal fuzziness and no junk pixels. The projector correctly detected and processed 3:2 cadence according to this test from the HQV benchmark DVD, but failed 2:2 cadence even with the interlacing set to film auto. So for owners in 50Hz regions such as the UK and other European countries, we advise letting your source device do the deinterlacing by sending a progressive video signal to the projector. Otherwise, the Epson LS500 extracted full chroma bandwidth from this 1080p test pattern from the Spears and Munsell HD benchmark disc natively in all picture modes. We experimented extensively with the 4K enhancement pixel shifting feature and found that the default image enhancement settings applied some edge enhancement, naturally. From our test, turning off image preset mode and then engaging 4K enhancement produced the cleanest results. No, it still didn't look like native 4K, but at least the transition between pixels was smoother, contributing to less screen door effect. Due to its formidable lumens output, the Epson LS500 delivered the brightest HDR presentation we've encountered from a consumer projector to date, with bright scenes looking convincingly impactful, as HDR as it gets on a projector. Of course, light output needed to go up to 100% with a substantial increase in fan noise, but we are so enamored with seeing HDR on a big screen that we were willing to put up with the fan loudness, preferring to let the volume of our home theater system drown out the background noise. Also, such a high light output naturally degrades the blacks, especially from the 3 LCD panels, so in dark scenes, blacks appeared grey and bluish with compressed shadow detail. Engaging dynamic contrast, which activates the laser dimming, could deepen the blacks, but since its threshold was based on APL or average picture level, noticeable image pumping was apparent from time to time. Note that the Epson LS500 doesn't automatically switch into a separate HDR picture preset. Let's say you were watching SDR content using the cinema picture preset. If you played a piece of HDR content, the picture mode would stay the same with no underlying change in picture settings, not even the light output, which is going to be inaccurate since the LS500 is not even performing any SDR to HDR offset. The only solution was to calibrate SDR and HDR in separate picture presets. In our case, we used Cinema for SDR and Bright Cinema for HDR, and then switched between them manually depending on what we watched. The Epson LS500 doesn't feature any dynamic tone mapping. It doesn't even adapt its tone curve to static HDR10 metadata. You can manually adjust the tone curve using the HDR10 setting under the dynamic range control. On our review unit, 8 worked best for 1000 nit content, while 15 retained most bright highlight detail for 4000 nit content at the expense of overall brightness. However, this approach entails a lot of manual work, because you'll need to know whether the content is mastered to 1000 nits or 4000 nits. So in our opinion, a better solution would be to use a latest generation Panasonic 4K Blu-ray player such as the UB9000 and engage the HDR optimizer function, which will pre-tone map the HDR content to the appropriate brightness of your choice before sending the video signal to the LS500, allowing you to preserve specular highlights without having to sacrifice average picture level excessively. Otherwise, there's some polarization in the sky of the Martian, but nothing out of the ordinary compared with its peers. The Epson LS500 supports active shutter 3D and managed to resolve full HD 3D resolution, although there's some chroma bleed in the stipple pattern, which we couldn't really see in the few 3D Blu-ray snippets we watched. For gaming, input lag measured 28 milliseconds regardless of whether image processing was set to fine or fast, as long as all image and motion enhancements were off, which means the Epson LS500 is the most responsive UHD projector we've tested so far for playing reflex-based games. Let's sum up. The Epson LS500 is a clear step up over all Chinese UHD projectors we've reviewed so far, and the price is not exorbitantly out of reach either if you buy it in Europe. I believe in the USA, it's bundled with an ALR screen which jacks up the price considerably. While its blacks were subpar, and its throw ratio might limit its versatility for living room installations, we liked its native 24p playback without telesonic judder, its low input lag, and its profuse light output that injected a convincing sense of HDR to bright HDR scenes, and so the Epson LS500 receives our recommended award. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to the HDTV Test YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.